Hello and welcome to Sonic Talk. Today we're shooting on, Wednesday the 22nd of July. It is in fact episode 412. And we're trying something a bit different today because we've got, I started off the day thinking I haven't got any confirmed guests, and now I've got plenty, and we're going to have a great fun show today because we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. First of all, I want to say thank you to our sponsors, iZotope, for joining us so regularly and helping out. It really does, we really do appreciate that support. And if you're watching not to the live stream and you want to skip forward or what, well, no, I don't want you to skip forward. You want to know when the competition's coming. It'll come after roughly about halfway through. iZotope, of course, giving away Trash 2, a copy of Trash 2 to one of the competition entries from last week, and also we'll be running another competition this week where we'll be getting another copy of iZotope Trash 2. So do stay tuned. And also want to say thank you very much to everybody else for being involved. I was going somewhere with that sentence. I've completely forgotten what it was. Oh yes, YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, please do subscribe. We heartily recommend it. We've got so much stuff coming up. Not only have we got all the stuff that's going to be coming from Studio Stekker, which is this massive festival in Utrecht, where Ed is at the moment. We will be joining him shortly. But we've also got the JDXA Part 2 review. We've got the Boomstar Modular 4075, the oscillation, and also the SEM filter coming. And there's also, what else is there? Oh yeah, we've got an overview of Universal Audio's Console 2. So subscribe and you'll find out exactly when this comes online as soon as. So I do recommend it. Anyway, let's go and join our guests. We'll start over there with Mr. Richard Hilton in sunny Connecticut. I hope it's very summery and all of those things. Chic keyboard player, where I know he played at, where was it, Colorado recently to a whole bunch of people, and off on tour again. So we might not see him for a little while, so we'll have to enjoy him while we can. Rich, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much.
As well as all of that great stuff, you're in the studio a lot with Nile Rodgers working on various projects, which must be incredibly busy at the moment because he is Mr. Man of the moment, isn't he, really?
There's always stuff going on.
Make
always
me a hit.
Poof, you're a hit.
Oh, thank you very much. Anyway, Rich, thank you very much for joining us. We'll come back to you later because I know you've also been to, you went to see the U2 Innocence and Experience tour, which as we know, they do a lot of fantastic cutting-edge stuff. So we'll come back to you in a bit. And we've got Mr. Dave Spears, who's in his very own synth cave there, which is looking very highly populated. But I suspect we might be able to out-synth you very shortly if it all comes together. Dave Spears, of course, GeForce Software, makers of fine software instruments, amongst many other things. How are you, Dave? You well?
I'm all right, yeah. Yes. I'm in sort of manic work mode, but I'm trying to find ways of doing things. It's an exploratory mode, I call it. Kind of
research.
R&D.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Which I don't really, which I love sometimes, but sometimes I don't, because you can spend like a whole day and you go, oh, actually, all I've learned today is that's not the way to do it. It's just, I'm used to kind of progress. I like progress, and I'm quite impatient.
Yeah, I know that feeling. It's the phase, isn't it? I'm currently trying to see if I can get Sonic to be in WordPress format, and it's, you know, it's very, it's like, yeah, that's not the way to do this or that or the other. But anyway, Dave, thank you very much for joining us, as I say. And then we've also got Mr. Gaz Williams. Well, half of him. There he is. Mr. Gaz Williams up there in his bass garage, where he's very kindly taken some time out of his session, not to eat lunch, but to join us. Gaz Williams, bass player, producer, mastering guy, songwriter, all of those things. How are you doing, Gaz?
Oh, great, thank you. Really manic, busy time, really, but been working on the Holy Mountain soundtrack that we're doing for the Green Man Festival. That's been taking up lots of time, but that's a really cool, lots of synth action in that. So lots of theremin, Strike Fet, System 1, and Banger, the keyboard player in the group as well, is playing a Nord, but also she's playing a kitten. And she's brilliant with the kitten. She knows it inside out, so she's very quick, and she gets around it so well. It's a real thrill to play with, but it's great fun. So anyway.
Wow, that's YouTube gold, that is. Girl playing a synth that's called a kitten. I mean, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. We're going to film the performance, I think, at the Green Man Festival. So hopefully lots of footage will be available for it.
Awesome. Right. I've mixed up the topics a little bit because we've got also... where is he? There he is, number 3. Mr. Ed Butterworth, who is currently actually in Holland. at the Studio Stekker festival, where he's covering the show. And basically, how would you describe Studio Stekker?
Bandcamp for synth nerds.
Right, so there he is. Look, there's Alert with the Moog source behind him. I think we're going to get a parade of lovelies. There he goes.
I think we may well get a parade of lovely, unique synthesizers.
So you're in the Sonar Traffic room at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah,
which is the kind of the synth cave.
So we're right up in the top.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So you've been there a couple of days, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I should just quickly, because you're running stuff into, we've got this, you're posting stuff to the live blog. There's lots of little video snippets of kind of various rarities and people performing on all kinds of devices and times and what have you. And it sounds like it's a lot of fun. But the reason you're here really is because we wanted to talk about the whole notion of of this collaborative event, because there was somebody put in the comments of the live blog, how come this isn't happening in England? And I just thought, well, I can't think of any other place where all of this stuff comes together. Because if you haven't seen Ed's Kytopia tour, it's in that building there, which is a massive studio complex that has got a number of production rooms, a big live kind of venue, plus a huge synth kind of cave up in the attic. All of those things are fairly rare. And also, they're allowing them to actually use those synthesizers.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's open to kind of just, what's that? I want to use that. Give me that. I want to run that through that. So it's changing all the time. Everything's open to being used, and
Excellent.
It seems like everyone is having a lot.
What's this one? This is
Synth on Phoenix.
Phoenix.
The 75th Synth on Phoenix. The very last one ever made. Was given to. Okay, he did pay for it, but it's now owned by the guy who runs Music House, which is a store in Utrecht.
Right, and you posted a short video of you patching around on that. That looked like
I had a little patch on that last night. It's pretty unique sounding, pretty uniquely designed. So you have it's completely modular, but so you just have to. Yeah, work out how to use it.
That looks like a pretty complex patch there.
I don't think that was one of mine. Maybe it was. I don't know.
Right.
Okay. This is Richard Devine's.
Okay. Yeah, that figures. So Richard Devine is there as well. I'm just going to come around again because I wanted to. Cause it's a really interesting notion. This idea of creating this kind of large collaborative sort of setup. I know it must be right up a number of people's streets. I don't know, Rich. Have you ever experienced such a thing? I mean, I guess. Up until now, synthesizers of this value and this rarity are not generally all together in one place. But have you kind of experienced any of this sort of thing, this music camp? I know they do songwriting things, don't they, and what have you. Is there anything similar for more technically orientated people that you are aware of?
Not specific camp or educational concept, but I do recall a place in the mid-'70s called the Boston School of Electronic Music, which had a room not unlike the one Dave sits in on a regular basis, loaded with stuff, including a 2500 and various other things. And whatever basically was available in 75 or 76, they had at the time, which was pretty cool and predates a lot of what we commonly discuss, like Moog sources, for example, and such, which came later. I
can't imagine the technical challenges of putting something together like this. I mean, Ed, have you got a kind of... how does it work? I mean, does everybody, all the artists that show up, because I mean, all these artists kind of show up with an opportunity to collaborate with each other, and then
it's pretty free form. There's a couple of people who there's Johannes Brecht, who is kind of been using the live room for the past 3 days, and he's got a big drum set up on the stage, and then they've draped around it, and there's a guy, and they've been recording marimba and stuff, and that's going into the SSL room, which we saw in the Kytopia video that we did in February.
Monopoly. Is that Monopoly?
The Monopoly.
Right.
It is a Monopoly, yeah.
Yeah.
That is a Monopoly, yeah.
Got one of those? Show me something I haven't got.
So yeah, it's pretty open to... well, you definitely haven't got one of these.
Is that a Russian synth?
Is a Russian synth. What is the name of... It's a Russian vocoder. Electronica brand.
Wow. I spotted that it was Russian somehow. I don't know how I managed that. Wow, that looks nice.
Yeah.
I'm curious though. I mean, it's lovely that very generous of these chaps to let all these synths go out. Are there people there fixing stuff? Because things generally don't stand up to that kind of abuse on a day-to-day basis.
I don't think we've had any disasters yet. I know they have. I imagine if there's stuff that is kind of dodgy or very precious, I don't think they let you kind of just take it off into a room on your own. Like the Phoenix, I think you have to kind of be supervised to use, but that's also not theirs. So,
right. So it's a low.
But they're pretty open to. You just come up to the top and ask one of the techs, so Alert, Ben, or Ariane, and just ask them what you want and how you want to use it, and you're good to go. So at the moment, there's probably 20 people in this room.
Fighting over the synths.
Yeah, there's 3 people fighting over the System 700. There's a couple of people with headphones on. There's
can you spin it round? Can we have a look? Can you show us the long shot? Is that possible without breaking your entire system apart? Okay.
So can you see?
Sort of. It is quite pixely, but yeah. Oh, I see what's going on there. So everybody's up there trying to kind of get their tools for the day. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and there's no time limit either. If you wanna stay here all night, Alec has to stay here with you.
He's the guy who's going to be looking really tired.
Yeah. I think everyone's pretty tired because we also the event's sponsored by a beer company, so there's free beer all week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dave, this is a dream gig, isn't it? This looks like fun.
Beer and synths.
You've got to go next year. You've got to go next year, surely.
Yeah, very interesting. Although, yeah. I don't know. I think if I owned a load of that stuff, I'd be wandering around with a cattle prod on a regular basis. Don't touch that. Yeah. Not with the beer in your hand.
Yeah.
There was one episode last night where something got unplugged a lot, and the speaker cone was getting very, very abused, and someone had to step in and say, no, stop with that. But other than that, I think it's been pretty good so far. Hey, Ben's here now.
That's Sonar Traffic. That's Ben Spander, right?
Ben Spander, yeah.
So, how many sort of concurrent collaborations are going on at any one time?
So there's lots of different rooms as well. So this is Sonar Traffic. Downstairs there's a modular room, and so Mark Verbos is in there with his system, and then there's Patrick from Schneider's bureau, and he's there he's just in the room. If anybody comes in, they want to set up a patch, he'll kind of guide them through it, etc. And then Colin Benders, Mr. Kite Man, he has his modular set up in a room, and in that room as well, Richard Devine has got his live set up as well.
How much stuff did he bring?
It's not too bad. I shot a piece with him earlier, about 45 minutes of him talking about it.
Wow.
So, but he's got like 12 views, so 4 rows, 4 rows of
quite modest then for him.
Yeah, and then a few little effects boxes and stuff. But wow. Yeah.
I'm amazed that we're not getting drowned out by all of the synthy noise that's going on in the background.
I could take out my mic maybe, and then
let's have a listen. Let's see what's really going on. Okay, that's very quiet. No.
Oh. maybe I need to do something. Just a sec. Let's try again.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Anyway, I'm glad that we've got that working out. I know, Gaz, this looks like the sort of thing that one would enjoy spending a week on, although it doesn't look like there's many bass guitarists there. They probably need one. Maybe you turn it with a bass synth and that would work out. Great idea, isn't it?
MIDI bass. Yeah, wow. Oh, I'm jealous. What a brilliant place to be. Hey, wow. It does make me think, though, why, like I know this like mansion house that you can hire for a weekend, sort of. It's quite expensive, but then you can 50 people. There's beds for 50 people. It's big rooms. I I want to do it there. Get a load of people. It would be about 100 quid a head, 3 days. Just bring your synths. Right. I want to do it.
Sounds like a good idea. I guess the advantage of this system is it's all there and working, and so therefore, it's going. But I don't know, Rich. This, I think there's something in this, because we got this sort of expansion of synth meets and DIY stuff going on all over the place. I mean, you think this is going to be, as more and more people get into modular, do you think it could be some kind of major social experiment where it actually brings people out and into the open with them?
And my observation at trade shows has been that this actually began at the Ableton booth, kind of. In other words, there grew to be this whole separate culture at, say, an AES show, or even in a NAMM show to some extent, of really like sort of geeky, interested, passionate guys who would show up at the time it was the Ableton booth, but today it's kind of distributed across all of this Eurorack sort of synth modular world that we're talking about and working in, and it's grown and this whole other culture of musicians that are like so deeply into this. And some of the people in the culture that I more generally cruise in don't know even that it exists. It's really quite remarkable in this way that it's separated socially from the more traditional old school.
That's interesting. I was speaking to a chap the other day, actually, DivKid. He does videos on YouTube, and he was saying that he's now getting work in the same way that I or yourself would have as a programmer for operating certain kind of drum machines and sequences and what have you, purely to be brought in as bring some modular stuff in and make some doing modular sessions. Do you think are you seeing any of that happening in your world yet? Where you get a modular guy in specifically to be a synthesist for a session?
No, but you're starting to see it in the sample library releases, where you have a lot of one-shot event type stuff that has been heavily processed and synthesized, and that becomes part of the sample set development. And I'm seeing more of that sort of thing, the odd noises business.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And I think, obviously, as we know, it does take a certain amount of skill to actually make musical
odd noises
stuff out of this. I know, Dave, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, I mean, you were very much the same. You have a similar career path to myself, except you're more of a player. But in terms of programming and kind of getting sounds on synthesizers, I mean, do you think that there's going to be a new niche, a sort of subgenre of technical programming skills where you show up with your synth stuff and integrate it somehow into a session?
It's possible.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I think it is definitely possible. And I'll tell you the reason why is that most people I know, at least when they start out with the Eurorack system or a modular system, most of what they find is by accident. So actually, if they've got something in their head, and this harks back to the old days, where people like you and I were called in, and it'd be like, I've got this sound in my head. It goes, and you go, oh, okay, yeah. And you program something, and they go a bit more orange or a bit bluer. And then eventually you'd arrive at it. And I think that could be the case here, in that if they've got a specific sound in their head and they want it, they need to hire somebody. Also, it's a really good education. I mean, one of the key things for me was when Jerome, one of the, he now works for Novation, but he was one of the Home Force guys. And he's a proper engineer and a great musician. And when he was showing me around the modular, I was just kind of, okay, yeah, watch that. Oh, okay, that's how you do that. Oh, yeah. Because there's multiple ways of doing things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you've got somebody who's completely on the case, especially in a situation where time is money, I think, there's every chance of that.
Yeah, I know. Ed, are you finding that there are people on hand? Because somebody might say, I want to use that synth, and then get it there and go, I've absolutely no idea how to make a sound.
Yeah, well, there's in the modular room, there's Patrick from Schneidersborough, and Mark Verbos is around as well. And I sat and had dinner with Mark Verbos, Richard Devine, and Patrick, and those guys, when they start talking about modular, and I think I know enough, but it's just like
way over the head. Is there any
interesting as well? But
is there any performance aspect to what's going on there? I mean, is there, or is it all in the kind of creating recorded pieces at the moment? How's that? Is that what people are working towards?
So obviously on Friday there's an event here in Kaitopia in the main hall, which will be a modular event. So Mr. Kite Man, Colin Benders, is going to do a big modular piece. So he's got a massive modular that he's going to Eurorack modular that he's going to bring on, and his stuff is very musical because he's
from a pop sort of vein, isn't he? That's his...
Yeah, he runs the Kite Man Orchestra, so he writes for an orchestra, for his specific orchestra. So he has a very different approach to it than say someone like Richard Devine, who's going to do his thing that night as well. And then you've also got Mark Verbos, who has been making techno on Buchla synths and modulars and generally making techno for years. Yeah. And there's also Wouter from Coma Electronic, who's going to present and jam on the complex sequencer thing.
Oh, that'll be fun because we haven't seen that in full effect yet.
Yeah, and then that's going to be streamed. That's going to be streamed live.
Do you know where can people see that? Do you know? Have we got a URL for that? Just maybe you can send it. I'll put it in the show notes while you figure that out, and then we can because that'll be something we could restream. That looks really interesting.
Yeah, we will endeavour to get you that.
Brilliant. Well, Ed, thank you very much for joining us this week. I am actually really jealous. This is the notion of being. What I feel like doing is showing up with the little Erebus Dreadbox and just kind of doing some ambient noodlings with that because it might fit right in.
Yeah, I think it would. Yeah.
Ed, it's been great having you aboard. I'm sure you've got a lot of stuff to get on with. So thank you very much again. Ed Butterworth there will be posting more stuff to the live blog and sending on videos home. I want to say thank you very much to Tip Top Audio for helping sponsor this event, and you'll be able to see a message from them on the front of the videos that we upload with that. So great. Thank you very much, Ed.
Thank you. Take care.
Wow.
Set a competition, Ed.
He's gone. He's gone.
That's all right. I should just set a really obscure competition. Come up with a chorus.
That's mean. But I mean, the thing is, the fact that they've got some of these real heavyweights of American synthesis, a lot of East Coast represented. West Coast represented there. That's really kind of. I would really love to go there and enjoy that. That sounds like great fun. Maybe, Rich, next time you're in Europe, you can kind of finagle a tour that ends up somewhere in the vicinity, and you could spend a day there and immerse yourself. It does look like great fun.
It does. It really does. That would be great.
Right. I'm going to now. That segment is over. We'll now have a little message from our sponsors, and we can also bring you the competition results and all of that stuff. So. That's probably supposed to do something. There we go. Thank you very much. iZotope Trash, of course, that's our sponsor. 60 plus distortion algorithms, perfect for transforming your sound into something never before heard. Design your own unique distortions from massive to mild on multiple bands. Let your tracks inhabit any space with the Convolve module. This is the new in Trash 2. Over 100 impulse responses, or load your own and put your bass in a washing machine if you want. Find a new voice, make your audio speak, growl. Two redesigned filter modules, each one featuring new Val Formant filters, screaming peaks, node modulations and more. Start trashing your audio immediately with an extensive new preset library and ear-friendly limiter that ensures you can play without fear, which is always a nice place to be. I want to say thank you very much to iZotope for sponsoring. And of course, if you want to check out iZotope Trash 2, go to iZotope.com/trash. As with all their stuff, there's a 10-day free demo that you can download and check out for yourself. So, of course, we do have a competition now. So the competition, last week we asked you to tweet out Audio Mangle and Trash as two hashtags, and we have a winner. The chap is called Peak Fiddler, which is a very synthy kind of Twitter handle, @Peak Fiddler. And he said, plenty of my sound files need trashing. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It depends on how you want to look at it. So I want to say thanks very much to him for his entry. And if you get in touch with us, we will be able to point the iZotope Fairy to drop a little something down your chimney, or the electronic equivalent. So Peak Fiddler, do get in touch. And if you want to enter this week's competition, we've got another set of hashtags just for this week. So you want to win iZotope Trash 2, you can use the hashtag Transform Audio and the hashtag Trash2, and you send that to @Sonic, or quote @Sonic State and @iZotope Inc. If you're familiar with Twitter, you'll know what I mean. If you're watching the video stream, basically you just need to tweet this bit, and you've got plenty of characters to add some extra stuff in there. So please do. Once again, we thank iZotope for their continued sponsorship of the show. Rich, I wanted to come back to you because you were saying you saw U2 recently. Where did you see them?
I saw them at Madison Square Garden in New York.
Ah, that's the one where they did multiple nights, isn't it?
They're still doing multiple nights.
They still do fun.
I think it's sort of like a low-level residency. Unlike Billy Joel's, which is a multi-year residency. No, this is a shorter residency, I believe.
So how was it? Because, I mean, as we know, U2 are really famous for sort of pushing the boundaries of what they do live. Are they doing it in the round? I was trying to get some video stuff, but I thought if I played it, I'd probably get busted.
I wouldn't say that they're doing it in the round. There is a stage at one end, as one would expect. There is a arena-length ramp that runs the length pretty much of the arena to a smaller stage at the other end, which, again, we've seen certain other people doing. But above that ramp, bisecting the entire arena, is an enormous video screen. And inside that video screen is another environment that they can actually go up into and either be in or play in. So the music can be coming at any given moment from the stage, the other stage, the ramp in between the stages, or that huge video screen contraption that literally slices the entire arena in half. And given that they've sliced the arena in half, the sound system is somewhere on the order of, 10 or 12 flown line arrays in an oval configuration around the arena. So there's not one large PA at one end of the room that's raking the floor all the way to the back of the arena. It's not like that at all. The sound system comprises a whole bunch of separate line array systems pointed more or less towards sort of the middle of the arena, which gave a slightly more ambient sound to the floor, which is where we were, than one might be used to, but it also sounded great and suited their staging idea very well, because I don't think you really could put a PA at one end and expect to get a reasonable result, given the way the room has been divided with these video screens. And along the length of the show, there were tremendous moments where they would be up in that video screen contraption playing, and there would be videos in front of them, and you would be able to see through the videos to see where they were playing. And it was really pretty spectacularly staged and very unique. I've never seen anything like it.
Wow, I can't imagine doing something like that if you were doing it on a night by night, or maybe leapfrogging, doing, every other night. It would be so easy to do. I guess having a residency allows you to get really creative with that sort of stuff.
No, I think they're moving the show. I'm not even sure they're doing consecutive nights in this residency. They may be doing shows other cities in between. So that sort of like horrific nightmare you were just envisioning probably takes place on a semi-daily basis. And the crew, their involvement in the choreography of the show has to be unbelievably tight, because they have to show up at a particular place in the arena with a particular guitar at a particular time. And it seemed like any time any of those guys looked down from wherever they were on the ramp, there was somebody holding a drink up for them, wow. From their staff. So it's an amazingly sort of choreographed technical event that this thing turns out to be. And meanwhile, you're not aware of any of that, because they're just like blowing you away with song after song after song, and they sound fantastic. They sound exactly like they sound, and it was a very special night. I'd not seen anything like that.
Do you know what they use in front of house? Are they doing the Avid thing, or are they Digico or something like that? Do you know?
Not only don't I know what they're using, I have no idea where that guy was.
Wow.
Because there's really no place on the floor for him. I mean, he may have been on the floor on the other side of that...
mixing on an iPad.
Ramp. Who knows? But I don't know what they're using for the gear. I just know the way the gear was laid out in the room was so unbelievably interesting and unique.
Awesome. Gaz, have you ever seen U2 or that level of? I mean, when you see something that is that spectacularly staged, I mean, whether or not you like the music, I know we're in the chat room, people are saying, "I never forgive them for the iTunes thing." That's all by the by, but you know that when you see that level of kind of spectacle, it's impressive.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing. And there's not a lot of bands who can afford to do it these days, is there either? So I mean, most bands' touring budgets are tiny, so there's not many bands who are putting on these big shows. So I think it's brilliant the bands are still doing it. Oh, I'd love to have the budget to do a massive show. I've got some pretty good ideas. Good. Crazy ideas. But wow, I mean, U2, they've managed just to keep on going through thick and thin, and just, for them to still be doing innovative stuff is, no matter what you think about the band, they're such an impressive outfit, and the way that they function, the same lineup that they've been all this time, and just they're a phenomenally interesting case study, I think, whether you like the music or not. But
Yeah. Anyway. Dave, you've I know you've been involved in sort of helping bands that are putting together tours, sort of taking stuff up. I mean, I've done it from a production sort of point of view, not a kind of setting up the gear. I mean, it's a massively complicated set of parameters you've got to work with, isn't it? Very specific as well.
Yeah. I'm not that familiar with their setup. I do know that. I don't know whether Terry Lawless is still doing it, but I do know that he was playing from under the stage on the last tour. I know that Rich may know better. Weirdly enough, I sat next to Bono on a plane. And get this, I must have told you this before. I was flying to Dublin to work for Elvis Costello. And just as the door shut on the plane, in comes Bono, climbs over me, gets in the window seat. And then his phone goes off, and I'm like, we're just about to take off. It's usually a drummer, put it away. And then, that was kind of a bit surreal, really. I was like, so don't tell me, Edge is flying it, Enya's going to be the trolley dolly. It's a bit weird.
Who else you could have? Krista Berg, he's Irish as well, isn't he? He could be doing something or other. Bursa, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, Anyway, I'm glad it was a great day. What's the capacity at Madison Square Garden? It's like 50,000 or something. Do you know?
No. Like on the order of 20.
Oh, right. Okay. So it's quite cozy for a U2 kind of gig.
I suppose, and I don't see how you'd be able to do this outside of the arena concept. The whole sort of layout is dependent on the sort of oval nature of the arena to make it work, I think. And one last thing is on the celebrity spotting front. We did, in fact, get backstage. They were very kind to us. And my kids got to not only meet Bono, but Chris Martin, and Joe Walsh was there, and Spike Lee was there, and it was quite the crowd of glitterati.
The New York hobnob. Fantastic.
Kind of. Well, and they're not all New Yorkers either.
No,
I suspect these shows are going to be really, really well attended.
I'd imagine so. God, imagine what the guest list is like. Wow.
Right.
So the next big news, moving on to news, this is, I think I've got the video to play. This was a presentation at the Summer NAMM A3E Day. This is Pete Brown, who some of you may know. He's a regular commenter on Sonic and regularly...
Thank you so much for coming out here, and a big welcome to everybody in the room, and also to all the great people who are watching this live online. So we are streaming this online, so make sure you're
So are we, Pete. We're restreaming the restreaming. I won't play it all, but basically this was a kind of presentation designed to go to the A3E Exchange. Is a kind of subset of music technology, programmers, people who are kind of writing the code that makes the apps, that side of things. And there's some quite big news in terms of what Windows 10 is trying to do. I've got a web page because I wrote a story about it. And what the interesting stuff is obviously we've now got new. Well, the first notion is Windows 10 will be essentially the same code base across all platforms. So we're talking phones, tablets, laptops, desktops, touchscreen devices, the whole thing, and the various different capabilities will presumably be accommodated in there. But they've also created a MIDI API, which is again parity across all, and an audio API, and really working on trying to drive the latency down on these kind of lesser CPU powered devices. So typically on phones, you could get reason up to now it's been like 100 milliseconds. They can get things right down into the tens of milliseconds, and this is a statement of intent, I think, from Microsoft to kind of go, right, we're now going to take it kind of seriously, and this could be a really big deal. Obviously, it makes sense perhaps to talk to Dave here first, because presumably, have you had any kind of approach, involvement in Microsoft? Presumably these changes are going to affect what you do, I guess. Is there any good news in there? I mean, generally?
The good news with Microsoft is always that they make their stuff backwards compatible, so that's good for us and good for users. It was great to see Mr. Brown, because we've had a dialogue, and we haven't contributed to any of this because we were kind of up to our eyes in the time where the NDA came through. And the NDA is obviously, it's not far off the size of a telephone directory, so we would have had to have got that checked out. So from our perspective, we're not involved. But this is quite interesting on a number of levels, and I'm really disappointed that John Hodgson, our main engineer, has taken away. He's on holiday, so I'm disappointed that he has actually taken a holiday, but that he's not here, because I'd love to have picked his brains on a lot of this. But this parity thing is very, very intriguing. Also quite scary, because we've thought for a long time, it's going to happen with Apple, but when Apple do it, it's going to be really, really painful.
Well, it may well be across any platform. The thing that's interesting, at one point, their plan is, well, the other thing that's going to happen is when Windows 10 comes out, which I think is later this month, if I'm correct, I think it's at the end of the month, possibly, you'll be able to upgrade from 7 through, from 7 free for 12 months. There's a window of, you can just do it, and it's not going to cost you anything. And this is a pretty bold statement event, because that, according to them, and this is obviously a bit of statistical marketing speak, within 2 or 3 years, if it all goes well, that means that your code that you write for a Windows 10 device could run on up to 1 billion devices. That's what they're aiming for, which is kind of mind-boggling. It really blows iOS out of the water. I know, Rich, we've talked about in the past on the show about how Apple kind of got it right in many ways by targeting the creative and the music community initially to kind of get the ball rolling, because you've got things you can go, hey, check this out, listen to the way it sounds. This is pretty interesting. I know we're all Mac users, maybe in a creative sense on our music platforms, but does this kind of fill you with any enthusiasm?
Yeah, absolutely, and I do run, usually just for educational purposes and testing, various Windows systems and versions, and I have an installed version of Windows 7, and I have an installed recently updated version of Windows 10 Preview, and I've been playing around in it. I haven't done any music work in it. I've just been getting the lay of the land and getting the hang of using it, and have a couple of versions of Linux. I have, a version of El Capitan. I have 2 different beta versions running of Yosemite. I like to keep up.
And you've broken them all.
I have to keep up. I have to keep up. What'd you say, Rod? What'd you say, Dave?
Broken them all.
And you've broken them all.
Well, I can break them, yes. I'm pretty good at breaking stuff. It's true. Although I haven't broken any of your stuff lately.
But one does. The thing that interests me about this is that it's just got this. They're aiming this squarely at developers to sort of say, "Come on, it's worth it," because that we could see a real acceleration of Windows-based applications that would work across multiple platforms, and it could be quite exciting. And I posted this story yesterday. Pete Brown very kindly gave me the heads up, said it's up live, and I wrote a story about it, and it went massive. It was really, really popular. It's had a lot of comments, tons of sharing on Facebook, what have you. A real bunch of stuff. I know, Gaz, me and you have been rather tardy in our iOS Sonic Touch. We've been starting to get criticism for it. Maybe we'll get around to one again, but this is the sort of thing that can really make a difference, right?
Oh god, yeah, absolutely. And sort of you have to take a good look at those Surface Pros now, I think, as well, with this in mind. And I'm just really intrigued about how music, it's like, wow, I think it's really big news, really exciting news. And I'm dead impressed that they've that they've done this. I've been frustrated in the past few days with some of the iOS limitations and to do with moving files around. So, I'm very intrigued to see, how long do you think it'll be before we start seeing the fruits of this then, in terms of a timescale?
Well, as far as I can gather, that in the presentation there's a part from an insert from Propellerhead, so they're obviously doing some good work with that, and they've also there's some stuff with Bitwig and the use of the multi-touch interface, which is what you'd get on the Surface Pro and some of the other desktop touch-enabled devices. So that, I'm guessing and they can't be the only ones. There must be others sort of moving in that direction. But they're probably best placed because they already develop heavily in the Windows world anyway. So I don't know.
I wonder if this is going to hurt Apple then, in Apple's kind of the fact that they're still keeping their laptops and their touch devices as separate product lines. Whether Microsoft is kind of jumping into that territory there, that fusion of both.
Yeah, well, they've got a lot of catching up to do. As your head in the chat room says, as a developer, I do really appreciate Microsoft's dev tools and software. That's something they're really great at, and that's true. That sort of .NET framework and the editors and that kind of thing really does make a big difference.
So it's exciting. It's going to shake things up, I think. I think maybe Apple have had it just too good for too long, and I think this is from our perspective, our music perspective, this is super news.
Yeah, and the other thing is also they're introducing audio codecs that are going to be compatible across between iOS and I think it's ALAC. I don't know much about it, but things like that may seem small, but actually for a corporation to kind of adopt and utilize that's quite a big deal. I mean, I've heard some rumors around the place that there's some Apple involvement in the whole 10 notion, the way that it's all going to be rolled out in the code base. But I don't know whether there's any truth in any of that. But I could see there's going to be. Oh, Rich, you look like.
Well, I was going to speak to the point Gaz just brought up about popularity of Mac, popularity of PC, and in a broader sense, the current state of the software world, as let's describe it in terms of Avid's perceived stagnation over the last year or two, where their customer base has become a little bit confused by the things they're offering. There has not been a lot of feature set releases coming out. They're asking for more money with each new version that basically is doing the same as the preceding version was doing. And people are starting to sort of look outside the fence of the reservation they've been on for the last 10 or 15 years and go, okay, what else is out there? And to the extent that I perceive that happening and people getting more involved in other softwares, this is a very opportune moment for Microsoft to be doing this, because I think that the field is somewhat more ripe for harvesting from other areas now, because
we've seen it with Studio One,
Avid sort of dropping the ball across a period of about 2 or 3 years now. And their last release, I just think they're having a really hard time garnering any kind of attention right now because of what they're doing. So it's creating a void.
Yeah, and capitalism loves a void to fill, and that will, and choice, as we know. I mean, as we also know that Persona Studio One has really gained a massive amount of popularity because it's offering the sort of innovations that people who are maybe Pro Tools users are looking for, and so they're considering that as an option as well. So yeah, I mean, very much that's the case, I think. What else have we got there? Right, there's this other video actually, taking on the kind of computing notion a little further. This is lovely, actually, or maybe you won't think so. We'll see. This is a video by a chap called Martin Bax, and it's the notion. It's 90s ballads singing machine. And it's really interesting. I'm thinking this is the not the Dolly Parton version of this particular track. I got you, Dave. Sorry, I will play that. I'll fast forward. I forgot that it had stopped the video, but let's bring it forward a little bit. But the inflection and the incorrection of this, what's interesting, they've not gone for vocalizing of it. They've gone for the emotional content of the harmonic and the brokenness. And it almost sounds like someone humming through a kazoo through a distortion pedal, but it is actually computer generated, which is actually the most remarkable thing. See what make of the high note. I'll tell you what it reminds me of a little bit is what happens when you put a voice through an MS-20 and you've got that pitch tracking kind of algorithm that is really broken, and it's visceral. You know, it gives you that visceral quality. It's an interesting notion. I mean, I know it's perhaps not everybody's cup of tea, but this is by a chap called, like I say, Martin Bax. And he's created this. It's a piece of software called Super Collider, which is a free download. You can get it on GitHub. Let me see. I think there's, you know, and you write it in code. And this is the sort of environment that you are working in. And you can create these sort of quite organic sounding voices and what have you. I don't know. Gaz, you're a singer. I know that because you lost your voice recently. As well, I remember phoning you a couple of days and you sounded like you were whispering at a golf event.
Yeah. Well, think? I'm not really a singer. I do sing in things, but yeah. Wow, this is brilliant though, isn't it? It's really, really interesting. It's such an interesting thing to experience digital emotion. It's really interesting. I love this. Can you play another piece for us, Nick? Is it possible?
Let me see. I don't know if there's any more on this. Let me see if I can. There might be some more further down the line. I think this is now just showing how it's all. No, I think this is I Will Always Love You, but this is showing how it's. Gosh. Stop. Oh, here we go. Desperado. Dave, it's your karaoke favourite.
I think there could be a market for this as like a little thing for singing children to sleep, you know.
You think
just like little children's nursery just sings sort of in this gobbledygooky way. I think kids would love it.
You would subject children to this?
I think they'd love it. Mind you, I thought that Raymond Scott's Soothing Sounds for Baby was brilliant. I don't know if you haven't heard that. Raymond Scott did an album of children's lullabies for babies. That's a beautiful piece of work. But this would be good. This would work. I think kids would love it. I think, yeah.
I don't know, but I take it from your cynicism there, Rich, that this perhaps doesn't fill you with the joy that perhaps I think that the article Peter Kern said he almost cried.
It reminded me of getting root canal listening to this. And to subject children to this, I would lead you I would lead you away in handcuffs. Sing to your children, folks. Don't buy any of this bullshit. Sing to your children.
But do you think this has any merit? I mean, because it is actually, in terms of expression, it's pretty advanced, right?
Would you rather shoot me with like a rifle or a pistol?
Okay, a pop gun maybe. You know, if I was actually if I had to, if you made
Very
me.
Good. Very good.
Right. So I think I detect your. I know, Dave. I mean that. You know what I mean about the notion of a voice through the MS-20? It really had that sort of where it was struggling to make the pitches and stuff. I quite like that about it. But you know, it's the end result is astonishing, but only if you know how it's being made, I suppose, rather than just listening to it cold, right?
So here's something really funny. When you sent this through, I thought I'll just check that out. Oh, I know this guy's name. In fact, I'm quite a fan of what he does, so much so that when I was garnering the sound library for Iris, I contacted him and asked him if he'd submit some stuff. So the bees and there's loads of electrostatic stuff and whatnot. It all comes from this guy. Actually, he's done some amazing stuff. And this is probably not one of them. No, I quite like this. I did like this. It did make me chuckle. There's something... I don't know what the word is. I can't think of the word. It's a bit wistful, isn't it?
Yeah. I think what's kind of interesting to me is how you would generate this, because I mean, if you've got to sit there and type, because we've covered this before, haven't we? Where people are live coding musical stuff, but it's done in sort of mathematics and syntax, and it doesn't seem like there's. I mean, you'd have to be pretty fluent in that whole thing to be able to kind of respond to real-time impetus to make that happen. And so I don't know how you create this, whether there's a beginning point where you're playing the melodies in the keyboard and then you design the rules between the notes. I mean, I just don't know how that happens, and that's something that's interesting to me. So I guess it's down to how you make it. There are some code examples on this supercollider.github.io, and this describes A Babbling Brook by James McCartney, who's one of the people who does a lot of work on Super Collider. So, it is very syntactic and very mathematical. So I'm wondering if it's down to the interfacing between the two disciplines. So what comes out of the box and how you input it in is going to be quite important, I suppose. And I don't know if you're doing it via a keyboard, whether or not you have enough information. It's perhaps the sort of thing that you need a Rolly Seaboard or an MPE type enabled device to be able to do that with. But I guess that's the thing, the compositional aspect of it. And I'm sure, Rich, that the voicing of it, the sound it makes, can probably be tailored. I mean, they've obviously gone for a sort of smudgy, distorted, broken kind of fundamental harmonic kind of vibe there, rather than anything more complicated. And it's more about the control than anything else.
I did a record in 1982 and 3 with a group called Spies, which contained ex-members of Foreigner, during which Al Greenwood, their keyboardist, wonderful guy, talented man, brought in a very, very early PC and some very, very early speech synthesis software, and we used it on the record to deliver a very short verbal message that sounded considerably better than anything I heard from this thing. How shall I put this? If you ask me again, I'll find another way to tell you that it's crap.
Okay. Well, I think that's covered it. I just wanted to give you another bite of the cherry there.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I appreciate each opportunity.
But if you want to tinker with Super Collider, you can. It's all free, open source stuff, and it'll run on Mac, Linux, Windows. On various different flavors. So you might have a machine, one of your many operating systems, Rich, that you could download and play with it, because it's capable of much more than this crap, as you put it. So maybe there's something in there. I guess it's is it C Sound? What's the one that's command line driven that lots of people use? I know that Gabriel uses a bunch of stuff to generate these kind of weird ambient textures and drones and stuff. Anybody know what that's called, Dave? No, okay. Well, I'll leave that there. Maybe the chat room will be able to get us, but due to the streaming delay, they'll probably give me the information as we've moved on in topics. So this is the last one I think we're going to have time for today, and this is unusual news. Speaking of speech synthesis, this is via Phone News on YouTube, and this is the news that there's a brand new Marshall smartphone.
Marshall London is an Android lollipop phone custom fitted for music lovers.
I'm sorry. The emotion in that voice is sadly lacking to me. But this is the news that Marshall have released. It's called the Marshall London. And it's got 2 headphone outputs. It's got, what else has it got? It's got dual speakers, twin stereo jacks, some sort of M button, some sort of sound, a global equalizer, and it seems to be, I mean, it's almost, it seems like it's a vanity kind of project. The other thing it's got, and I don't think we've got an image of it here, but because they did a fridge as well, didn't they? The Marshall fridge that looked like a and this is obviously the notion of the branding notion, creating things that will speak across verticals, as they say in marketing speak. I don't know, Dave, I know you're not very guitar-y.
just that marketing speak. Virtual integrated solutions. Does it go to 11?
I should bloody well hope so. I think that would be a minimum requirement.
I remember.
It had to be said.
We got. Yeah, of course. We don't look at it. Oh no, that was a guitar, wasn't it? Don't even look at it. Yeah. I don't know. I won't be buying this. Maybe if there was.
Did you see the price?
No, I haven't seen it. I didn't see
400 quid.
400 quid for a yeah, but Rich, for a mobile phone, if you buy them outright, I mean, if you bought an iPhone 6, it would probably cost you $600 or more.
Only if you bought here in this country, if you buy them with plans, they don't sell them that expensive. Whereas you guys buy these unlocked phones for $700-800, so you can go. It's a different market here.
Yeah.
You can't sell. 400 quid is almost $700 here anyway. But. That better be some kind of serious MP3 player. That's all I can say.
Well, I don't know. What do you think,
Two
guys?
headphone jacks.
Yeah,
That's
so you can share. You can share.
But it's weird because, really, a few years ago, if this had come out, it would have had a jack input on there so you could plug your guitar into it.
A quarter-inch jack input.
A quarter-inch jack input, yeah. But, and that would be quite cool if there was a quarter-inch jack input on it. Then you would almost justify it being, you could go, oh, yeah. Because there isn't, it is pure marketing sort of
nonsense.
Garbage, isn't it? And
has got a Tolex. It's got a Tolex back cover.
It goes to show, though, doesn't it, that the phone is such a massive part of people's lives that the need for self-expression is, it's huge. So it's all marketing nonsense, though, isn't it? I mean, there isn't really anything there. Not really. I mean, the 2 headphone jacks out that they're kind of talking about. There's a couple of things, but I've taken specifically to do with the hardware. But for musicians, there's nothing really there, is it? It's just But hey.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing. I mean, if you really want a Marshall experience on your phone, surely they could just make a phone cover that looked a bit like that with a Tolex background and had. Oh, they do that too.
They sell an iPhone cover. Yeah, I looked at their website today.
Okay, well then maybe they'll sell more of those than they will the phones. I don't know how many, because presumably you'd have to get these made by Huawei, I forget how you pronounce the name, one of the kind of major Chinese manufacturers. But again, it runs on Android, so as we know, Android at the moment, the audio latency is rather terrible, certainly built in, unless they've built in some kind of IK multimedia type of iRig thing inbuilt, so it's like a separate piece of hardware that allows you to do that. I don't know, it seems quite unlikely though, but yeah. But this brought me on to a more wider thing. Okay, so if we take this to its logical conclusion, we have a Marshall phone. What other products that could we see from our synthesis world that would would be applicable if you were going into a marketing meeting pitching this to the manufacturers? What would you pitch? Rich.
Well, how about a Tesla synthesizer? Let's go in the other direction. What if people who make really interesting things outside of this world made modular, made Eurorack gear?
Yeah, I think there could be. Well, it's interesting.
A Dyson Eurorack module,
That's not a bad idea.
A hose output coming off the front of it.
That's not a bad idea. It sucks, you could say, as the tagline, couldn't you?
There you go. Yeah, they make the best compressor in town because it sucks. There you go.
Hey, there we go. That is interestingly though, because Mercedes and BMW made when mountain bikes were all the rage, they made mountain bikes that were branded as such. So I suppose it's working. Okay, Dave, you've had enough time to think of some applicable gags. I want to hear them now.
The first one that popped into my mind is quite risky. It would be the Sequential Circuits comic book, but no pictures of any profit.
Hey!
That's just got everyone in a whole heap of trouble.
Yeah, I think you might.
Now, I read this thing the other day that looking at your mobile phone is a sign of being stupid. Sorry.
Having no attention span. Yeah.
It's like the time Mark said, I've been having trouble lately with short-term memory loss. That pregnant pause where he forgot what he was having trouble with.
Excellent. That's awesome. I know, Gaz, what do you think? Can you think of it?
You could make a OP1 mobile phone, couldn't you?
Yeah, I think that's probably quite likely.
A miniature OP1, the size of a phone.
Or perhaps one of the what are the little ones called? I can't even remember what they're called now. The
pocket operator.
The pocket operators. That would make sense. Because it practically is a phone size. I'm sure it wouldn't take much to stick a phone chip on it.
Yeah.
Although that gain structure would be with trouble. I'm not sure about the call quality.
I'm sure there'd be a way around it if they could, but that would be really cool, And if they use the phone, they could tap the phone signal through the OP1.
Yeah. And
could
so
do things
to it
on the call. Yeah.
That made it intelligible. I'm guessing some, brands like Moog or Moog, however we choose to say it on the day, are probably best placed for this kind of thing. Where they could make something that would, spill elsewhere, because people wear Moog T-shirts even though they're not interested in synthesizers, because it represents this sort of esoteric.
Well, they had that sofa, didn't they? Well, no, it wasn't them. It was somebody else. who I think got into some trouble. But
Lovely thing.
yeah, that was quite intriguing.
It was my
I mean, in
desktop.
a way, everything. Yeah, it's weird. I got that Sub 37. In fact, I've got it next to Minimoog. And what's the writing on that? Designed and handcrafted by Moog Music in Asheville, which is like saying it's a sort of novelty Minimoog, isn't it? Really.
What about chocolates? I think confectionery. I think they could maybe do some waveform or classic knob types, cap types. I mean.
Yeah.
Well, we just saw a product that did that, where they had made it with their own knob types, and so many people requested Moog-style knob types that they
that was
made a
the
second
AJH
version.
synth. Yeah.
Yeah, we just had one of those in recently.
Yeah, that's. Oh, well, you experienced one, or were you talking about on the show?
No. Us here on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
Well, anyway, and that rather gag-worthy dead end, I think I will maybe take that opportunity to wrap up, because I think it must be about time. And I want to say thank you very much to everybody for joining us. Thank you, everybody in the chat room. We have a fulsome chat room, I don't mind saying again, which I'm guessing means that the new streaming service is servicing more people than it could before. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed this, please do subscribe to the channel on YouTube. I'm on a drive now, and I've got a note on my keyboard that says, remember to say that. Or at least I will have next week. So please do. Subscriptions are good because we can tell you all about all the new stuff that's coming on. I want to also say thank you very much to our sponsors, iZotope. And again, if you want to enter the competition to win a copy of iZotope's Trash 2, so you can mangle up your audio, you need to enter the Oops, that's the wrong one. That's the one I wanted to press. You want to tweet, you need to be on Twitter. You want to tweet the hashtag Transform Audio at one word, and also the hashtag Trash2, one word with the number 2, and put at Sonic State and at iZotope Inc. into the tweet as well, and add some extra stuff if you feel so inclined, because we always read it and it always gives us a chuckle, or often does. So that's it for this week. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure as ever. I'm going to start with you, Rich. Thank you very much, Rich. I guess you're off on the road again doing some more gigs, right?
Yes. Right now we're preparing for a big festival that Niall is putting on in the beginning of August on the east end of Long Island, with a rather stunning collection of artists. And so right now we're in preparation for that. Immediately following that, we go to Scandinavia, Denmark, then out of Scandinavia, Belgium and Scotland, and then to Oslo, Helsinki, and Gothenburg, Sweden.
Ah, that sounds good. Just in time for the mosquito season, I'm afraid, because they have a very short but intense summer. That's what I was told when I went to that part of the world anyway, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I've been to Sweden in the summer. It's not, if you don't mind the sun still being up at 10:30 at night, it's not bad at all. I quite like it.
Well, have a lovely trip, and we'll hope to see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Rich.
Had fun. Thank you.
And Gaz, I guess your session is probably drumming his fingers and saying, can we get back to work now? Enough of this frippery and frivolity.
Well, we've been having a great session. I've been working with a brilliant jazz musician called Kevin Feiges from Bristol. I've worked on a number of his albums in the past, and it's really it's kind of a little bit like early 70s fusion in places, which is cool. But I mean, and then some of it's more sort of free jazz, I guess. And it's but check him out, Kevin Feiges. He's really good. And this new album, I think, will be out at some point later this year. But yeah, just give him a little plug.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Gaz, for joining us. Been a pleasure to have you, and to pass on our good wishes to your session and say thank you very much for letting you go for this amount of time. And, of course, Mr. Dave Spears, where the sun appears to be shining. I can see it coming through the window, unless it's some sort of grow lamp you've got going on. Thank you for joining us.
It's just a front. Everything I do is a front for grow lamps. No, thank you. It was good fun.
So that's it for this week. We will be back next week. And don't forget, if you want to keep up with what Ed's doing over at Studio Stekker, because he's there until, I think, Saturday night or Sunday. I'm not entirely sure. He'll be posting stuff on the live blog where he's posting some really great little clips of extreme rarity and all sorts of modular nonsense. Go to the site. There should be a kind of headline banner saying Studio Stekker live blog, click here. So click there and you'll be able to keep it on, and it'll just sit there and refresh every 3 or 4 minutes, I think, so to show you if there's any new content. Not that it increases our page views in any way, of course, but thank you very much anyway. So that's it for this week. I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to fade to black and wave you all off. See you later. Thank you very much.